Yeah, and that's a different thing altogether. There's a when you talk about a new generation of Burgundy winemakers, there's always a new generation of Burgundy winemakers. I mean, we've been here for 40 years, and with a lot of the producers that we represent, we're in our third generation. So um, I'm not naming names, but not every generation is as good as the one before it or the one that came after it. I mean, this is one of the things you have to be most careful about in terms of the big old domains. You know, the well-known producers, the people who inherit land. You know, the guy. I don't know. Again, I'm not naming names, but I mean, I talk to winemakers and they say, I don't go into the vineyards anymore. I hire people to do that kind of stuff because you can make so much money on if you've got the big name land and all that kind of stuff. And it's a business. They're not farmers anymore. You know, it's important to follow the generational change. Because we used to say, well, we follow this from vintage to vintage because every vintage is different. But now we're thinking we follow it from generation to generation because not every generation is different. I mean, there are people whose, somebody's grandfather made great wine doesn't mean that they make great wine. It's just not the way it works. You know, that sort of thing. You have to A, you have to have some sort of natural talent, and B, you have to care. The next thing is what happens if you don't inherit. It's hard to build a domain these days. If you were here in 1960, you could have put together a pretty formidable collection of vineyards, but that's not the case anymore. Any land that's worth its that's known, that has a reputation, that is a well-known appellation. When it comes up for sale, it's bought by banks and insurance companies, and that's just the way it is. Young people, young people these days have come up with remember we talked earlier, we were saying that in the old days, you had wine growers, you had grape growers, and you had and negociant houses who made the wine. What we have now are micro negociant houses. So young producers can go out, and if they don't own land, they can buy grapes. Not buying juice, they're not buying ready-made wine. They're actually overseeing the production of the grapes to their standards, harvesting the grapes themselves and making the wine. So they don't own the land, but they kind of control what the outcome product is. And this allows people who are well known in the area. You have to be kind of well connected to get good land here. But if you're a good winemaker, you'll get to be known. And if you play your cards right, you'll end up, you can have village wines and Premier Cru, not just the simpler regional appellation. And that's your go-getters, your new producers here. And that's pretty much where they come from. Sometimes then what happens is they'll prove themselves, and then they'll find an investor who comes in behind them and actually buys land and sort of sets them up and that sort of stuff. But in the meantime, essentially, what your best bet if you want to make wine and you don't have any land is to just sort of see if you can find vineyards that people are willing to let you put into your micro negociant. And that's new generation is people who can inherit and people who can't. Essentially, that's where we are.
Hello, I'm Dennis Sherman from BurgundyWine.com. We're based in Burgundy and have been for over 35 years. We specialize in small production, hidden gem winemakers, and we deliver their wines directly to your door at prices that will convince you when we say great Burgundy does not have to be expensive. If you can't come to Burgundy, we'll bring Burgundy to you. So join us at BurgundyWine.com, where shipping is always included on case quantities.